We will still have the cones out for you. Sorry, Dr. Jaimie. She had to walk a mile. Again, please review the bios. We have so many amazing women and men speaking today that you'll just be blown away. So we're very, very fortunate that we have this great relationship and a board member from Palm Beach Behavioral Health and Wellness. Between them and Tyson Teens, they really help us come up with the topics that are most relevant for the summit. So when Dr. Jaimie's ready, I think you're going to be amazed at her presentation as well. So thank you very much. And we do have a break after this, so, okay?
I'll hold it. It'll keep my hands from going crazy. You want me to start? Do I just start? Okay. Good morning. I don't know how many of you guys have been here before, but I have had the opportunity to do a presentation for several years, and this year I wanted to do something a little different. And I'm really excited about what I'm going to present and how this came about. It was super fun, probably the most fun presentation I've ever written, which, yeah, these are not the best. It's still a task. But I got to consult with I'm a psychologist in Jupiter, and I got to consult with the kids that I work with and my own kids, and that opened up some really fun conversations, and it was pretty exciting. So there's some stuff I think you'll enjoy. I hope that at the end of this you learn some things, but also you found the fun in it as well. So obviously if I explain everything about memes, you'll leave this and you'll understand the internet. Just kidding. So my name is Dr. Jaimie St. Amma, and I run the trauma clinic at Palm Beach Behavioral Health and Wellness in Jupiter, Florida. So my niche is really trauma. It is my specialty, is what I enjoy to work with. But recently, over the last couple of years, I realized there was a population we were missing and didn't quite understand, and I have a subspecialty in autism and trauma and how those diagnoses go together and how we see them manifest. I have a passion for it because I think we don't quite get either of when someone has autism and then they have a traumatic experience. But also, in relation to this presentation, I love the internet. And I think it's super fun and exciting. And I guess I like to pretend like I'm a millennial, even though technically I'm nowhere close to that. But also, I just think it's really exciting. The things that are happening that can happen, there's a lot of growth possibility and a lot of communication happening that isn't all negative. I grew up with like 4chan, really. I don't know, you guys, if you don't know what 4chan is, we'll get into that. But 4chan, Anonymous, like the beginning of the internet, and really that kind of growth where people were like bucking the system. And of course, just kidding. The internet has gone in different directions since then, and I probably need to learn more, and you guys will help educate me, but maybe we'll do nothing. And this is when the internet fails. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. See, I'm so addicted to it. Just kidding. No, that's real. I didn't do it. That's literally the computer, not me. That would be awesome, though. I should have put that into my presentation. I'll remember that for next year. That was genius. Okay, so really, I don't know where to start. So essentially, okay, this is where we'll go. We'll start with this. People hear the internet and they get scared. And a lot of times we hear the negative about the internet. But I want you guys to leave and also see the internet as a positive place where a lot of amazing things are happening. In regards to internet culture, I'm going to focus, because this conference really is about our youth, I'm going to focus on the youth. Like the, middle childhood to adolescence, like the 6 through 18 years age. range. And there are some things about internet culture that I want to encourage you to have an open mind as I do this presentation. One, the issues are the same. You don't have to tell me what years you were growing up, but I can promise you it was the same. You were trying to find yourself. You were trying to figure out who you loved and how you loved. You were trying to find a group. You were developing vocabulary to identify your personality. The only difference is that now we add the internet. Hey, check it out. I was on the right slide. That's it. We just added the internet. And I'll prove my point in just a minute. But I think we get so scared because, of course, there is a side to the internet that is alarming, I guess. And I'll definitely show you guys how the rabbit hole happens. But there are so many opportunities for connections and communication that don't have to be negative. So what is culture and why is that important and why am I throwing that word after the word internet and trying to act like this is something we should talk about? So culture is a group. We all have a culture. We probably have multiple cultures that guide our worldviews and our opinions. So these groups, our culture, makes up our values, our beliefs, and our behaviors, and there may even be symbols associated with it. So I'm a liberal, and within that group, there are issues that I stand for. But I'm a woman, so I'm also a feminist. Yes. So how do these two groups overlap? How do they contradict? And how do they at times work for or against each other? Or do they not? And then there's probably 15 other cultural groups I'm a part of, right? Because that's just how this works. But my cultures and your cultures define how you approach a relationship. So are you into just hooking up, or do you want long-term commitment? Is the woman more dominant, or is the male more dominant? There's, of course, your love language, all these other things. Communication style. Are you more sarcastic with your group, or is it direct and to the point? Your worldview. What are your beliefs? Again, are you a feminist? Do you believe in social justice causes? Do you want to save the turtles? Does anyone know that reference? People know what I'm saying when I do that? Oh, yes, this is going to be fun. I have so much to teach you. So what are the norms of your culture? What are the expectations of your culture? What is expected when you're a part of this group? And some of those are flexible, but then there's some norms that are pretty specific, like we don't accept racism in our culture. But maybe we accept certain words that are pretty derogatory. Where is that line? Then the behaviors and rules, I went over this. Oh my gosh, this thing hates me. This is like very apropos, isn't it? The customs. Okay, so what are the rituals? What are the holidays? What are you celebrating based on your culture? Guess you're celebrating an update. What tools do you use? Are you a Mac? So if you're in the internet culture, are you a MacBook or are you more PC? And trust me, those two worlds can be very different and have some very contentious views. What technologies do you embrace? Are you about advancing medical technology? Or are you against, I almost pause when I say this, vaccinations? Are you against things like that? Organizations. What organizations develop based on your worldviews within your culture? So are you, it's not as funny if you don't know the joke, but I'll get there. Save the turtles. Did you develop an organization to help save all the turtles? If you don't, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys. So there's a whole internet culture based on VSCO. It's a VSCO girl. A VSCO girl is a very stereotypical girl. It's one of the many ways girls seek to fit in. A VSCO girl has a hydro flask. She says all these silly things. She wears a puka shell necklace, and she says, save the turtles. And I'm always like, what about save the people? They're cool too. Maybe not, maybe not. All right, so internet culture. How do we define everything we've talked about culture and apply it to the internet? Well, basically, it just means we have more access. Now we're using online formats to communicate. And again, this really means we're not limited. So now my culture can intersect with someone in Sweden, in Korea. So I'm getting varying, diverse, in fact, worldviews and input, which can form my culture in much, much bigger ways than it was before. And then, of course, there are the norms that are within it. Are you a social gamer? Are you doing video games? Are you really just social media? Are you the person that just only uses a phone? Or do you have an Xbox? Like, what form of accessing the internet do you enjoy? Within the internet culture, we have different areas. So there's entertainment, communication, and business. And those aren't always the same. If my internet culture has to do with being a social media expert or marketing expert, that's probably different than the 12, 13-year-old kiddo who plays video games, right? Besides the age difference, even how they approach the internet will be different. And we'll talk about some of the issues, so I'm not going to go into it now. I'll definitely get into it later. The other thing that's important to note, and when we go into some of the apps and ways kids are getting online, that differs based on age. So anyone know what Reddit is? Reddit's the bomb. So some of the major theories that have come out about movies, the Stephen Avery case, Reddit is associated with that. So Reddit is an online chat group where the most genius minds kind of converge, and sometimes not, of course, and just analyze everything. And there's groups based on groups based on groups. You can be in a My Little Pony group or a Sonic group or whatever, whatever you want to be in. But Reddit used to be more of an older population. It's being infiltrated by younger kids. But if I'm a Reddit person, maybe I'm not as much of a Snapchat person. Or I like Snapchat, but it's not my only way to communicate. All right, so why am I talking about this, and what are we, in regards to internet culture, and why I said I want you to keep an open mind that really the identity development is the same. We just added the internet. Let's look at identity development. So I want you to think about middle childhood, 6 to 11, adolescence, 11 to 18. We're going to use Erikson's psychosocial stages of development. All right, he has 8 stages, and essentially he defined personality and how we develop our identity from infancy to late adulthood. I won't get into every stage because it's not as pertinent to what I want to talk about today, but what we will go over is the school age and adolescence. Okay, I wish this was a tad bit bigger. So school age, so at 6 years old, you're going to kindergarten. Suddenly, your social and academic demands increase, and you have to accomplish this stage in order to have a sense of competence. Can I meet the demands? Can I achieve goals? And I start to kind of compare myself to peers. In preschool, though that is happening younger and younger now that preschool has even become more aggressive with the demands. But it used to be preschool was daycare and more fun. I think this is evolving. But you get into kindergarten and there's so many expectations, behavior expectations, friend expectations, and now I need to learn how to read on top of all of that. All right, so that goes all the way up to pre-puberty, so as we'll talk about, that's a fun time. And then 12 to 18, how do I become me? This is the time when it happens, when you start to develop those core issues. Of course, they change later based on your experiences, but I'm sure most people in the room could say, during my adolescence, I really started getting some of those basic beliefs about the world. All right, stage 4 is our ages 6 to 11. Again, pre-puberty, so we have a body awareness. Suddenly, I am kind of embarrassed when I'm naked. And these are important when we talk about the internet, because if I'm starting to understand my body as different, and I'm doing things like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours, now we have the internet, we have sleep problems. But what's really cool at this age is we start to develop moral reasoning and abstract thinking. So it's just a very tiny little bit, but we start to realize I'm not egocentric. It's not just about me. What I do affects others. And maybe even a tiny bit, I start to realize it doesn't just affect others, it affects the world, right? So what I do in the class will affect my best friends, but also the entire class, and then the teacher, and maybe even the school, right? They could change a rule because of what I do. So I start to realize this. And that puts a lot of pressure, even more so, on my self-esteem and how I feel about myself. The rest of these, empathy starts to develop, blah, blah, blah. Okay, adolescence. This is the one I really want to focus on because between 6 to 11, please limit and please monitor what kids are doing online. Period. Thank you. 12 to 18, I think that we can allow a little more freedom as long as we've taught the skills and we've taught them how to be safe and how to have open communication. Because really, we can't shield them forever. Now, 12 gets a little dicey. My son is 12, and so I will say I have found it better just to lock everything down. Because it is like suddenly you'll be here, and it's so innocent, and it's fine, and then you're like, what just happened? But I'll show you guys, because that'll be super fun, because the internet's great. Anyway, so 12 to 18, I really developed that moral reasoning. My prefrontal cortex is starting to develop more better, I guess, more better. And so that means I understand consequences. I start to understand, really, this is why I'm sure you all had that time in adolescence where you took on a cause. There was something you like believed in. I don't know, maybe you were an anarchist. I feel like there's a few in the room possibly. Maybe you were a feminist. Maybe you decided your political affiliation. But this is why, because now you understand that you affect the world. And maybe in some ways you're a little naive at this time because you think you can affect it even more than you can, but it's a beautiful period where you're growing in that area. You start to, so sexual identity, let's also add that to the internet. So suddenly, I really do want to know who I love, how I love them, and who I'd like to have sex with. And then the internet's available. Okay, so remember I said I want you to keep an open mind. That really things haven't changed. They have changed, but they haven't. So there are basic themes about identity development that are the same. And here's how I'll prove my point. Okay, so I do want to warn you, there is some profanity, and I tried to find some without it, but honestly, I thought some of the movies were classic, and it proved a point. I apologize if there's like 2 curse words, if that is, if you're uncomfortable with that. Also, there is one clip I will warn you that has some intense themes, but I'll warn you before that as well. I'm worried about time because I have so much I want to go over, so I may not show all of these, even though I love every single one of these movies. But I want you to be thinking about themes you see that have to do with what we talked about, identity development. Oh man, it better. Also smile big if you know what this is.
YouTube TV. Watch like a fan.
When you call someone's name like kind of loud and they don't hear you, it makes you feel really lonely.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Hi. Oh, I should tell you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Okay, wait a minute.
So you should tell me.
We're painting the oak tree today after school.
Links, which is super. I don't know, why is it trying to go to YouTube TV? Does anyone know? You might have to go. I've done links before, so I feel like I'm 3 steps behind. Why can't I exit out? Because if we, I keep thinking it's touchscreen. That's not going to work. Well, we'll definitely only watch maybe one from each, the 1990s and the 2000s. Yep. No, that is not it. I don't even think it's pasting. Why? computer, but I didn't. That would be it.
Watch football live and cable free. The best way to stream television. YouTube TV. Try it free.
Can we do that?
When you call someone's name like kind of loud and they don't hear you, it makes you feel really lonely.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Hi. Oh, I should tell you.
Hi.
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 So you should tell me.
We're painting the oak tree today after school. We could use a few more people if...
Oh, that sounds great. I mean, does it?
Yeah, let's do it. So, we'll see you then.
Okay. See ya. So that sounds like fun. You know, painting. Definitely. Good.
Did I try to log in? Ooh, super frustrating. Can I go to YouTube real quick and see if I sign in and then... Hold on, we'll figure this out.
YouTube TV. Watch like a
I think
fan.
this is it. Okay, remember, look at the dates.
When you call someone's name like kind of loud and they don't hear you, it makes you feel really lonely.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Hi. Oh, I should tell you.
Hi.
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 So you should tell me.
We're painting the oak tree today after school. We could use a few more people if...
Oh, that sounds great. I mean, does it?
Yeah, let's do it. So, we'll see you then.
Okay. See ya. So that sounds like fun. You know, painting. Definitely. Good.
So when did they tell you? If you got the part or not?
Oh, I don't know, soon. I don't care. My head is like pounding. I was really out of it last night.
Yeah. Me too.
I guess we both were. Okay, so
Yeah, so.
we'll see.
See ya.
All right. So, did anyone know the movie?
Watch football live and cable.
The show? My So-Called Life. What themes did you see that have to do with what we've talked about for identity development? So I'll be honest, I don't totally remember that scene, but there's definitely something about last night I have a headache, like they're trying to make excuses. Clearly they hooked up. I don't know if they actually had sex, but there is this like uncomfortability with some even experimentation. So there were some, they said so a lot, see ya, pretty tame. And then at the beginning, Claire Danes is talking about how when you feel invisible when you call someone's name. Did I just hit? Okay, so this one is from 1999.
Watch football live and cable free. The best way to stream television. YouTube TV. Try it free.
The same thing.
Krakow!
I copied
Saw how to go last night.
Just kidding. No, that's... Copy. Paste.
I know you. I know all about you. You're the one in the corner.
This is one of the clips where she says a curse word, so FYI, if you don't know this movie, it's Jawbreakers. It's amazing. But I think it shows this like wanting to fit in really well.
At the dances that the geeks won't dance with because they're at home fucking old pervs in cyberspace thinking they're doing some hot babe. There's nothing to hide, Fern. You're nothing. We're everything. You're the shadow. We're the sun. But I'm here to offer you something you never dared dream of. Something that you were never meant to be, but will be. Because today, Fern, my dear, fate has decided that you are cool. We're gonna make you one of us. Beautiful, popular, loved, feared. All that you've ever dreamed of. If, and only if, you never, ever tell anyone what you heard. Think of it.
This is sick, Courtney. You don't own someone by making them beautiful. You can't hide the truth with a makeover.
Liz is gone, Fern. Take her place. You know you want it. Think about the boys. Think about face is your portrait. They'll be lining up.
All they see.
Make it shine.
Not with oil.
But with drive.
Watch the eyes come alive as me, as us.
A dash of magenta.
Lashes full, black, thick.
X-rated glass, lips full. Hair frames the portrait.
Some gilded.
Some gold.
Color, the secret to not growing old.
We cut, layer, and curl.
For a look that is you.
For the hair of a dead girl.
We use model glue.
Lips full.
Plush.
And dark.
A fine line that traces a deep crimson heart.
Rest now, sweetness.
Till the day all shall see the beauty remolded from sheer misery.
Smells like nothing. Back to beatnik. And I want partner, a big shot rock star.
Trying to fit in, trying to look a certain way to be part of a crowd. Okay, so the last one I'll show my presentation. I encourage you to watch some of the other ones. There's Mean Girls, there's Clueless, all the movies you would expect. Does anyone know about the show that has been on HBO for 2019, Euphoria? Okay. I will say very graphic in nature, lots of trigger. I mean, you name it. There is issues with sexual identity, sexual assault, domestic violence, self-harm, sexual exploration, you name it. But I'm going to try to show a clip that, yes, I think she says a word, but it shows the difference, I would argue, is that maybe in my so-called life, there's like, it's covert, like we're talking about sex, but we're doing it in a way that isn't in your face. This clip, 2019, let's see what happens. You get scared. Does anyone watch this show?
No, what had happened was, that morning, Maddie went to school.
What are you, the Unabomber? What are you, a dominatrix? No. I didn't mean for real, bitch. Obviously. But seriously, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just on my period. Okay, bye. Bye.
And Maddie's first class was Intro to Calc in room 202, which unfortunately was in the upper left wing of the school.
Is the air conditioner, like, not working?
It's broken. You could always take off your hoodie. No, if it was a normal day, Maddie would have just taken off her hoodie. But since Nate choked her, Maddie woke up 3 hours early, applied more concealer than a burn victim, and tried her best to cover up. To compound the problem, she also suffered from a drop in serotonin from the Molly she took at the carnival, got depressed, and therefore hadn't had anything to eat or drink the entire weekend. Plus, she actually was on her period.
Maddie? Maddie?
She's in here! I'm fine. Why is everyone, like, so dramatic?
Obviously, you've been through a lot this weekend. But my real concern is the bruising on your neck.
There is no bruising on my neck.
Paramedics saw it.
Yeah, well, they're lying.
Madeline, look, I understand that you may be afraid to talk about how you got hurt. Look, I want you to know that it is not your fault.
I'm trying to find a really respectful way to say this, but, this doesn't concern you.
It does concern me, Madeline. You're 17 years old. If I suspect that you're being abused, I'm mandated by law to report it. Was it someone you know? Was it Nate Jacobs?
All I know is she, like, knocked over a giant pot of chili and, like, called his mother the C word.
I mean, he did, like, grab her by the arm.
Yo, straight up, the chick's crazy.
Do you know why Nate and Maddie were fighting?
I don't want to talk until I get a lawyer.
You're not being charged with anything.
Look, Nate's gay.
I'm being serious, Barbara.
No, I'm telling you, like, Nate's actually gay. That's why Maddie was upset.
I don't know about the carnival, but I do know she smashed some dude in the pool at McKay's.
Smashed?
That's why he attacked the new girl.
What new girl?
The one who cut herself. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mr. Jacobs, would you please come with me? What? Come with me.
You want to tell me what the problem is? Don't worry, we will.
All right, so I would definitely argue that some of the themes and the way it's presented is
Just saying, love is a
very extreme. After I watched it, I actually talked to some of the teens that I see, and I was like, did I miss something? Is it this bad? And they agreed that it's inflated based on what they experience. Yes, there is some piece of it that's true. Yes, we have domestic violence. Yes, we have this. But in this one high school, they have literally everything. So please know that. All right, how do kids access the internet? What are they doing? I have to say I was a little alarmed when I went to research this because I underestimated that anything that has Wi-Fi capability can access the internet. Now, is it that easy? No, but I don't know how many of you guys have met that 10-year-old kid that seems to be a hacker, can do things that don't even make sense. Well, he can get on the internet. So computers, laptops, iPads. I'm not sure that I need to go over this list because I'm guessing probably you know these. The things that were a little more, didn't know. So it says dogs and horses. It doesn't mean there's a smart dog. I mean, dogs are obviously smart, but like it's not an AI. It is the chip you can buy that will tell you everything from how your dog is breathing, how much exercise, how much they ate. Big Brother always watching. All right, how is the youth getting online, and how are they perpetuating their culture? Yeah? Are you? Okay, I thought maybe I was asking a question. All right, so I'm not going to go over all these because I'll be honest, some of these I assume we know, and I'll have some slides next, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to access, that will show you some of these sites. But I think it's important because when we talk about safety, you need to know. Not that we need to lock everything down, not that I want you to leave scared, but if you know, you can have conversations. And I will often just have a very no BS conversation with my teens and say, listen, I'm not stupid. I know what's out there. I may not know it like you do, and I don't presume that just because others are doing it that you're doing it too, but I'm not naive. So we've got Instagram. Most people know what Instagram is, right? Where Instagram can take a turn that's a little is this whole questions for Instagram stories. So I can post a story, and I can be usually the stories are a little more personal. Like, so-and-so gave me a dirty look in class. I can't even believe it. But you can post questions to someone, and they can range from, I really love your hair. Where'd you get it cut? To how come everyone says that you dress like a, like things like that. I know girls that will post their own questions to themselves, like, hey, I heard Brent liked you. Do you think that's true? And really, she sent it to herself to see if Brent, he gets to fish at all. And I think that's kind of creative, in fact. It's like how we used to pass notes, and now they're passing them to themselves. I'm like, that's genius. So Twitter used to be, when Twitter first started, it was like political rants. I could tweet about anything, and there's still people doing that, and they really need to be censored, and I won't really say who that is, but you may know what I'm talking about. But what Twitter does that I didn't know is you can click on a hashtag and find a group. Okay? Yes. But those hashtags can be anything, and if you don't know what some of the vernacular is, you're in trouble because your kiddo that you know, that you see, that you live with, clicked on something that then rabbit-holed to something else. Facebook, I think everybody knows Facebook by now. TikTok, who knows what TikTok is? Love TikTok. Okay, so TikTok is actually really cool, honestly. And it is what used to be Musical.ly, if you're aware of Musical.ly. TikTok is super fun, and I'm going to try to open it. Again, I'm feeling a little nervous if things will open, because there is a side of TikTok that is fun. And I have kids that will post these silly videos, and they're dancing to the song, and they're lip-syncing, and they're not even with the words, and it's so awesome, and it's like, that's great. But where TikTok gets dangerous is kids want to be TikTok famous. So I post my pictures to the For You page. When I'm on the For You page, I'm no longer private. And you can infiltrate my pictures, which means that you could infiltrate my post and post next to it making fun of me. That's super awesome and great for the self-esteem. This can all be restricted. So again, I don't want you to leave here thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never letting anyone online again. No, we just have to have education and awareness to protect each other. Snapchat, the thing about Snapchat is when we talk about culture, this is really important, and I have this conversation with parents a lot. There are different groups that only communicate via Snapchat. They do not use text. That's how they message. If you are not allowing your 16-year-old daughter, let's say, Snapchat, are you limiting their ability to communicate with their friends? I understand there are things about Snapchat that make us all nervous. But I come from a stance that if we educate and we monitor and we teach appropriate skills and appropriate ways to handle things and encourage open communication, we get further than by just limiting. YouTube is YouTube. I will never forget 2 years ago, my son was on YouTube, and I hear this really crazy noise coming from his room, and I walk in, and I'm like, what is happening? He's like 10 years old, and he says, I was watching this Fortnite video. I'm just going to say it because, oh, well. And the guy says, kind of a tame channel, honestly, because I limit what he watches. But the guy makes a reference. He says, it's like when it hits the back of her throat. My son says, what does that mean? That was scary for a moment. Luckily, he was equally as scared. So he's like, through his phone. I'm like, okay, cool. But that's how easy a video can, because a lot of these YouTubers are older. They're adults. So they're just having conversation like they would. Yes, there are some that are really great. I can think of many YouTubers who have changed the way they format for the younger kids. So again, don't get me wrong. There's a whole side of this world that's great. There's family-friendly YouTubers who are really great. You just have to be educated about what's out there. Discord. Does anyone know what Discord is? That's a bummer. Okay, so Discord is how it is servers. So you start a server based on an interest, a like, a video game, whatever, and then people join your server. Discord has rules. There are rules that you have to follow, and they're pretty intense about breaking them. There's not supposed to be any sexual content. There's not supposed to be certain pictures. And Discord is filled with a lot of people who tell. So you start a server, and you're the owner of the server, and then you elect so many people to be your moderators, and they're watching your rules. So in addition to Discord's rules, you set rules for your server. How you find a server, though, you can't just search on Discord. You have to go to a separate site and search. And I'll show you what happened when we did that. Okay, Skype, it's not as used as much anymore. I know it's out there. People use it. I would say there's so many other video chatting apps that I don't know anyone using Skype. And if they do, unfortunately, it's in the world of like video, the cam girl type stuff. Twitch is it's live streaming. So we used to live stream just video games. Now we have something called IRL streaming. And that is when, let's say I just wanted to stream my entire day for you to see like what it's like in real life for me. It was super awesome, and I just walk around. It's great. But as you can imagine, where do you think things go wrong here? Right there. Okay, so all of a sudden the girl is changing, and here we go. All right, so Creepypasta is a horror site. Fan fiction. Do you guys know what fan fiction is? It's kind of a huge part of the internet culture. Writing stories based on characters from movies, books, video games. And Creepypasta is writing stories that are scary. There's actually some newer movies that have come out that got their base from a creepypasta story. So it's pretty fun, actually. I don't do scary stuff, but I'm guessing there's some cool stories. I will say there's a forum, a chat area. I was reading through it, though, and I didn't see anything too horrible, honestly. It was just like, I want to write about, well, they are talking about murders and such, but that's scary stuff. Wattpad. Wattpad is where we also post our fanfic and diary entries. I have worked with clients that want to post aspects of their trauma narrative because you can post anonymously. And because I will say, for the most part, in every world, there are outliers and there are things that happen that we can't predict. But for the most part, I've seen some really crappy stories on Wattpad and like 20 comments going, "This is the greatest thing ever. You're such a great writer. Keep it up." And I'm like, what? Really? That kind of, I mean, great. That's awesome. So for the most part, it's like an inspirational, like supportive environment. Again, things always go a different way at times. iFunny, this is where you find memes, and it's super funny. Video games, you know, we have PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, PC. There's probably 15,000 others. I don't realize. 4chan. 4chan is what I talked about. Anonymous. Does everyone know what Anonymous is? The hacker group. Okay, so Anonymous is the hacker group that has been known for doing some really not good things, but when they originated, it was to expose corruption. Point blank, that's all it was. Then do we have people who join Anonymous, say they're a part of Anonymous, that do some crazy things? Of course. But when 4chan started, it was now people will say 4chan started Anonymous or Anonymous started 4chan. I don't care. Somehow they were involved early on. Now, the B-board, which is random, that used to be all this cool stuff and it would talk about what Anonymous is doing, is literally just porn. So I wouldn't recommend going there. Reddit, as I talked about, Reddit is where we look at, there's subgroups and groups for anything you could ever imagine. During Game of Thrones, the last season, I was on Reddit like crazy trying to hear all the theories and Stranger Things, and there's usually some good stuff because people will do the dirty work, and then you get to like, is that true? Do I believe that? Because they must have more time on their hand. I'm not sure. Visco, we talked about Visco. Visco is actually an editing app. It is an editing app. It's known for, I just laugh because sometimes these are just too much, aesthetically pleasing pictures. Essentially what that means is, remember when Instagram first started and we all did the white borders? That's Visco. It came back with a new app and it's like so cool. But through that, you know, we developed, you know, different styles based on being a Visco girl. There are some cool things that are happening. Visco girls do believe in addressing anything to do with the sea, as in Save the Turtles. So that's cool. House Party is a chat app. I've seen house party go bad because you throw a party and you invite all your friends, but there must be a wonky privacy setting because people can get in that are not part of your friends list sometimes. So there's something about house party that I get cautious. If you know something I don't, great, I'll be open to it. But I have too many clients where something bad has happened on house party, i.e. someone asking for nudes that was probably a child predator. WhatsApp, it's just another communication app. It's supposed to be more secure and safe. I mean, I'm sure there's a dicey side to it, but it's just a way to communicate. It's usually one of those that your parents may not know that you downloaded, and it's where you're doing all your communicating. Tumblr. So Tumblr personified around the same time 4chan, and back in the day, like after MySpace, Tumblr was the jam. Like Tumblr was where you really explored who you were and what you liked and what kind of things you're into. And it's known as like the artistic population. And then Tumblr got infiltrated by porn, and then Tumblr got in trouble because they were having child pornography and their AI was not detecting it. And then now they have no porn, and now Pornhub may buy Tumblr. There you go. That's lesson 101. I don't think people are using Tumblr the same. Tumblr is whatever. There are people that will, definitely different. Like some sects of the LGBT population still uses Tumblr. There are things about Tumblr that are cool. I just think you have to be careful because now they have to blur out if it's an explicit image. And so you have to actually click on it to see it. But before, it would be like, whoa, crap. And also, I will note, back in the days of like the, where we could find a pro, like suicide site, a pro eating disorder site, meaning support of, pro, you name it, that they all started on Tumblr. That's the place. Now there's a warning, and you can't even look it up. Well, you can't look it up if you go look for Pro Anna. If you're smart enough to look for other things, you can probably find it. But I remember, 15 years ago, maybe 10-ish, I don't know, you could find the best ways to commit suicide on Tumblr. DeviantArt, just stay away, honestly. I mean, I don't know, like DeviantArt, I get such mixed feelings about, because what happened is, too, we have trolls that love DeviantArt. So these are people that like to be mean, and, I'll have kids that will be like, I want to post my artwork, and it's not wonderful. They just drew a pony that kind of looks like a dog, but they totally tried. But then they get ripped to shreds by trolls. I actually work with a girl that part of her depression and suicidality is because of years ago how she was attacked from her artwork. And she finally got enough courage to post it, and she was attacked. And she was in a group based on beginners for this artwork. I don't remember, it was like a video game or an anime. And it was just Mean Girl Central and other people that would just join the group to be mean. So the other thing about DeviantArt is, because there's art, what else do you think there is? There's definitely porn. Pinterest. I put this on here because I was surprised last year. I had this interaction with a client who says, Dr. Jaimie, can I show you my Pinterest board? And I'm like, yeah, how bad could that be? Pinterest board, that's fine. Yeah. Because I usually, when a kid's like, let me show you something online, I'm like, nope, not me. Like, I don't trust you. Something about it, like, so I'm like, Pinterest. I have a board that's like how I want to decorate my room. How bad could it be? So he proceeds to open up this board that has, I would essentially say, like Playboy type pictures and soft pornography and what we will call personal massagers. He's 10 years old, just turned 10. And I'm like, how the heck did you even find that? And he goes, you have to search up this and that. And then we share the boards with all of our friends. Okay, so here's the thing. At that age, pre-puberty age, that's kind of normal to start wondering about sex. Where I get nervous is his mom didn't know that was happening. And then from there, where does it go? Because when I said to him, listen, I get it. You're curious. Totally get it. Talk to us. We'll answer those questions. Unless you get too graphic, and then your mom's going to answer that one. Okay, amino apps is another way for people to chat. It's based on groups. It's really common for the anime world to be on amino apps. YOLO, I think I mentioned this already. It's the questions, but for Snapchat. Questions. Kik, nobody's really using Kik, but I put it on here because when I did research, it's the research from 2018 is so outdated. It kept talking about Kik, and I'm like, no one's using it. I'm going to totally jack up this word, and everyone I asked had a different way to say it. So, Omegle, I don't know. Tinder and Bumble. Yeah, you're like, why did she put those on when we're talking about teens? Because a lot of teens have one of these sites. As of the last month, Bumble is the place to be. It used to be Tinder. I have some girls that are just on it, and I don't like what they're doing because, honestly, they're pretending to be 19 and tricking these boys, and I don't find it funny at all. But they're not ever going to meet them. They just want to flirt. And I'm like, why don't you just flirt with the boys in your class? Like we all did. We do. Come on. What are you doing? But I think they see it as a safer way. I have had to tell parents so because I think it's a scary world, and really quickly it goes to places they're not prepared for. All right, what is my time like? Do I have? Okay. All right, some of these I'm not going to open up because I want to make sure we get to the last part that's really important. But if you do get a copy of my presentation, I would encourage you to click on them. I'll open it because when I revamped my presentation several times over the last couple of weeks, and some of these searches changed so much every time that the pictures that would be up to the front, it was like it got worse and worse. And I'm a little nervous about what I'm going to open, to be honest. I had to take DeviantArt out because, oh my God, I need like a deep clean on my computer because My Little Pony, does everyone know what that is? We know what My Little. So what's the difference between My Little Pony and MLP? Means the same thing, right? It's the abbreviation. What happens in the MLP world? So when you use the MLP abbreviation, you're talking about a more dicier side. Not always. Some little kids say it and don't even know. But for the older kids, it involves the erotic fan fiction and the pictures that are a little more explicit. It's like Pinkamena is Pinkie Pie, and she's evil, and she murders people. So, okay. Okay, so this one's okay. So this is Twitter, how you can find a hashtag and click on it and find things. So Yowie is a gay male anime character. I don't click on the images because what happens really quickly is cartoon graphic acts. So there we go. That's Twitter. TikTok. Will you click on TikTok? Has everyone seen TikTok? Has anyone not? Are you comfortable saying that? Okay. So this is this is the trending video pages. I just looked at this morning just to make sure. Will you just scroll down? So essentially people post videos. There's probably songs to them. Again, there's a side that's really cute and no big deal. This one though, is this the one that's gonna? So these two girls dancing, this was on here 2 weeks ago. They posted it. I wonder if this is the one that... They did it to the For You page, so what has happened... I'm not seeing it right away. But now, here it is. Now people are infiltrating their videos.
What all do you want from me? ARs and them 223s. Fucking around with me, you see I'm hot, I'm 500 degrees. Heard he caught up.
I was hot. I went to parties a lot.
All right. I just wanted to show you how quickly that happened. So I literally looked 2 weeks ago. There was a picture of the girls in the leggings, and I'm like, okay, that's cute. Last night when I looked, there were all these infiltration videos of people like, look at this girl, like, make it. I don't know. She's trying to learn the dance. Simmer down. It's all good. She has a cute body. Let it go. YouTube, I'm not going to show that one. Discord, we talked about the boards, how you find a server. That is, Discord is the #1 place people find a server. So this is Discord. Okay, that's cool. Remember I said My Little Pony versus MLP? Look, I looked up My Little Pony. I found one server, Rainbow Dash's server. That seems pretty innocent. That's cool. We could go there. You can tell by my voice this is going to get bad. Okay, I don't know. You never know what goes on top. Okay. So far, it's not really bad. There was one on top that right away was like mature, and unfortunately, the MLP, if you look closer, like the role-playing, RP stands for role-playing. It means you're going to act out as a character. Not always, but a lot of times, role-playing has a more erotic nature. All right, so that was the difference. Oh, there you go. My Little Bimbo, sex is magic. But if let's say my 9-year-old has a phone, she's not going to understand that difference. Twitch, live streaming, it's just going to show you guys playing video games. I think you're good. Creepypasta, I'll show you the first page because it's if you don't know what it is, it's kind of cute. I mean, I guess not cute, it's scary. There was a movie that came out that was literally a script, a story from Creepypasta, and I can't think of what it is. Oh, yes. Let's look at 4chan. Okay, if the ads come up and they're super bad, I'm sorry. Oh, yep, my bad. This is 4chan. So look how innocent it is. It's early internet stages where it's literally like a bulletin board, right? But if you look over to the side where it says adults, that NSFW, and people say that stands for different things. I say not safe for work, whatever you want to say, I don't care. But if I know what 4chan is, boom. And I guess actually the more I look at the pictures, I need to get off of here really quickly. My bad, sorry. So there's a forum page on 4chan, Reddit. Let's look at some of the Reddit chats. So Reddit's really awesome, but if you also look at the top over here, we have the controversial area. That's where things can get a little more dicey. But at least they label it. Some of these other sites don't, and suddenly we're in, oh wait, here, let me show you the aesthetically pleasing area of Visco. See, the pictures are cool. It is, I mean, it's great expression. It's artistic. It's amazing. I don't know of Visco necessarily taking a negative turn, but what I will say, one of my clients said that did alarm me and make me sad. So I had my clients give me different, what these words mean and like what their thoughts are, and she said, well, Visco is a stereotypical white girl. And I was like, so can only white girls be Visco? And then she got completely red-faced and like mortified, and she was like, I didn't realize I said that. I mean, I don't know. And I was like, we can't perpetuate that. We have to be diverse. Don't do that. But I think that we get caught up in these stereotypes. We don't even think how they must feel. What if you're identity development and you are a minority and you're on Visco? I'm sure you don't feel included, right? I'm sure that's a part of this process. Tumblr, here's this, if I went to go look up Pro Anna, this is what happens. It's like, are you okay? Do you need help? Pinterest, I'm not going to open that. All right, so basically, all right, I'll go back there. Some really funny stuff about smartphones. Okay, so 4chan started this thing called Rules of the Internet, and it's essentially a meme now. And there's a bunch of these that don't apply, but everything on the Internet is meant to be somewhat sarcastic. So please don't take it too seriously. Have fun with it. And rule number 34, and maybe I say this word too much, but I think when you talk about the Internet, it's important. But basically, if it's on the Internet, you're going to find some kind of naked version of it. Period. All right, Internet speak. I only go over a few of them because I think they're important for you to know if you're going to work with youth and if you have youth in your life. Role-playing, as I said, if a kid writes RP, it's time to ask what kind of things they're role-playing. Meme language, you know, this used to drive me crazy, but misspellings and when they leave a vowel out, sometimes that's completely intentional. I still don't like it. It makes my anxiety high, but it's part of a meme sometimes. A furry, oh my God, the furry culture. I could spend hours on this too because, you know, it's the people who wear fursuits and have a fursona, and it's not negative. It's an expression, but there are people on the internet that hate furries, and they can be brutal. So if your kid is into being a furry, just be aware, because if they go on different platforms and talk about it, there are trolls that will attack them. Let's see. Yaoi and Ayuri is the terms for the gay and lesbian anime characters. And anytime you see it, it's not like, oh, this character just happens to be gay. It's going to be an explicit act with that character and another, most likely. Yeet is the new saying that, like, when they throw something really far, yeet, I yeet the basketball. Or I'm going to yeet your head or something like that. This is an interesting one. It's not used as much, but I see trolls use it sometimes. The Ann hero. It's really a sad origin. 2006, Mitchell, I think his name is Henderson, committed suicide. Someone commented on it and said he was such an Ann hero. So now when trolls are attacking someone, if they rate Ann hero, they're saying kill yourself. Some of these others, you can take a look at your leisure. Woke. Everyone's woke right now. They're totally enlightened. They get it. Because you're 16 and you get everything. A lot of these down here are streamer language. So if you're not into the streaming world, you don't need to know. I just think it's kind of interesting that the culture and the vocabulary is different based on what part of the internet that you are. So these are all, like if you stream video games, these are ways that you talk to each other. PJ Salty, Bible Thump, Kappa, all of those. So facts. Facts means I agree, like that's true. Like if you said racism is a bummer and I say facts, like I totally agree. Spam, oh, these are the things I need you to understand. I'm always surprised how many people do not know what a Finsta, well, we call in the Midwest a Sensta, because it means secret Instagram account, but they call it Finsta here for fake or friends only. I don't know, I think Sensta sounds better. Anyway, most teens have a Sensta. They have an account you don't know about. And on that account, they are expressing themselves. And it's not always bad, honestly. They're just expressing themselves. But anytime I say it's my exclusive friends list, I can think I'm safer than I am. And that can go wrong. Private stories, same thing. I had a client that was like, you have to write private stories because basically it's everyone just bitching about their life. And I'm like, I think we do that anyway, so that's fine. But yeah. Visco girls have some sayings they say, and I oop. It's like, oh man, something like, I have made a mistake, something happened, and I oop. It means I'm laughing. Weird flex, but okay. I love this one. So here you go. If I'm like, oh my God, I paid off my student loans. And you're like, that's a weird flex, but okay. Because you're like, that's not really possible. You're crazy. But also, like, who's bragging about that? Like, you're broke. Receipts, I want proof of something. You better verify that. Peppa Pig, did you guys see that? Peppa Pig is an icon right now. Can't tell you why, but boys, girls, doesn't matter. They love the Peppa Pig. All right, so I had to look at what is the meme right now. What is everyone doing? This is the meme for this week. And here's what I find hilarious, and it circles back to what I said. Nothing's really changed. So psych. Does anyone remember this word from the 1990s? Oh my God, you guys are so cool because now suddenly, not only do you have a Super Mario Brother Nintendo character, the Venus Flytrap dude, but you wrote the word psych. That's totally 1990s. You're not that cool. So essentially, does everyone know how memes work? So a picture, so this say psych right now is the meme. And then people add whatever they want as like, you know, I'm having like challenge my presentation, say psych right now. You know, like that kind of thing. So I could say whatever and it's a way to like come at it. So you'll find memes about anything, but they'll have the major picture and the content. All right, you guys can look at this at your leisure. There's text speak, which I'm pretty sure most people know at this point. The only ones I think are really important are there's some that mean like parents over my shoulder, POS, things like that. The rest of these, the one I don't like when I see is ASL, age, sex, location, because I know that kid doesn't know who they're talking to. You can't tell me it's a friend if you're having to ask their age, sex, and location. We have a problem, Houston. Then they're like, it's my friend. I quick added on Snapchat, and they were friends with my friend, so they must be my friend. I'm like, that's not quite how that works, but that's cool. So memes are awesome. We use memes to just be funny. I found this really great definition for memes in the Urban Dictionary, and the first input was the best cure for depression. You know what? I kind of agree. Memes are funny. We shouldn't take ourselves so seriously. In some ways, memes are just a way to say, you know what? Life is hard enough. Let's laugh. Okay, so case in point, this is when being a mom goes wrong. I'm only going to read one because it's like great. Well, it's not great. It's actually kind of sad. So the middle one, your great aunt just passed away. LOL. Why is that funny? It's not funny, David. What do you mean? Mom, LOL means laughing out loud. Oh my goodness. I sent that to everyone. I thought it means lots of love. I have to call everyone back. Oh, God. All right. I'm not going to open this because when I did it earlier this morning, I was like, whoops. But as I said, the internet is a rabbit hole. So we started on a journey. I went to go look up My Little Pony, and then I was like, what? So essentially, that's what happened. I did a Google search, and I looked up MLP. Did I look up MLP or My Little Pony? I looked up MLP, and about literally maybe 3 down, there was an inappropriate picture. 3 down. Then it just got worse and worse. So FYI. What are the safety risks? Exposure, being overly secret, having too much accessibility to one another, bullying, of course, taking on the problems, identities of someone else. So part of this is what we do in identity development. But what I've had to deal with a little more recently that's been somewhat difficult is people that come to me and say, I'm a part of this group. And I say, okay, well, tell me how you're a part of that group. I'll say it. I know it's going to be somewhat controversial. You can hate me after. So I've had a couple of my clients come to me and say, I'm trans. And they are 16 years old. And I say, okay. So how'd you figure this out? What made you want to talk about it? What's going on? Like, I'm very open, understanding. And they start basically giving me answers they found online. But then when I start asking questions about, tell me, like, when you're 8 years old, how you felt in your body. I don't know. They can't answer it specifically. It's based on what they've read in these chat groups. And this is hard to navigate. I'm having a hard time, I'll be honest, because I don't want to invalidate if really they just finally were comfortable enough to talk about it, but I don't want to encourage something like transitioning if it's not right. We all did it. We all acclimated to a different group that maybe wasn't 100% in our realm. It's what we do, but where does it get problematic? The big one, we had an incident, and I'll try to be as vague as possible, but about a month ago there was, and I think we need to talk about it, I think it's something we need to say. There was an incident of a youth was having some struggles, and this youth was posting on Snapchat about mental health struggles, being depressed, not feeling accepted, and friends were trying to be supportive, but nobody reached out for help. They didn't understand how serious it was. Because everyone's doing that, right? We're all taught, we're venting. Oh my God, I can't believe someone cut me off in line. It's what we're doing. And we use words like depression like they're nothing. That person is no longer with us. That person was asking for help, and the teens that I work with didn't know how to help. They didn't understand. And now what they have to deal with is that where was that line of, we're teenagers, we vent, I can be your support, versus I need to bring someone else in. So my new conversation is, if you see something online that makes you uncomfortable, talk to an adult you trust. I don't care who it is at this point, and if that adult is you, you have a responsibility to handle it. Moral reasoning concerns. How do you develop your sense of moral reasoning if the person across from you online is anonymous? If you can't see their face. I'm sorry, I'm almost done. Poor inflated body image, difficulty with identity development. So those are all scary. How do we protect? 3 main things. We communicate, we talk about, we have open communication. I said when I was writing this, what was the most fun is that the kids were so excited to talk about it. They loved it because they knew I wasn't judging. And it allowed us to talk about things I didn't think we would talk about. So talk to them. Educate yourself, educate the youth. Have boundaries for yourself, teach them boundaries. And overall, I would continue to say, I don't see it as negative that we have an internet culture. I see it as a beautiful way that we can learn more about diversity. We have more access to people. We have more access to information. We have the ability to organize groups. One of my clients made me add this sentence right here that says, group chats for homework. He was like, see, the internet's amazing because you can do group chats for homework. I was like, okay. So that was literally contributed by right there. It can relieve boredom. It can relieve distraction. It can be a coping skill. I think we need to embrace the internet and find a way that we can teach our kids to be safe, but also learn from those experiences and find who they are. Thank you. Sorry, I ran a little over.